child with ADHD can be getting very good grades in school and still have ADHD. So they need to look beyond that surface level and be asking, how does her life go when she gets home from school? How is she with her friends? How generally is her life going?
Welcome to Thriving with ADHD, a podcast where we'll share everyday practical tips to thrive in life as an adult with ADHD. This podcast is brought to you by Animo Sano Psychiatry, a behavioral health practice with a specialist ADHD clinic based in North Carolina. And this is your host, Nada Pupovac. Welcome to Thriving with ADHD, dear ADHD community. Today we are diving into a topic that doesn't get enough attention, and that's girls with ADHD. We'll explore why many girls are overlooked, how subtle signs like daydreaming or anxiety can be missed, and what parents, teachers, and clinicians can do to support them early. Our guest speaker is Cynthia Hammer, the Executive Director of the Inattentive ADHD Coalition and founder of findtheadhdgirls.org. After receiving her own ADHD diagnosis later in life, she became passionate about ensuring girls don't go undiagnosed for decades as she did. Through her nonprofit work, writing, and public speaking, Cynthia advocates for early ADHD identification, education, and support so that girls and their families can thrive. Welcome back to the podcast, Cynthia. I'm so happy to have you back. And I know how passionate you are about inattentive ADHD, in particular ADHD in girls topic. So I'm thrilled to have you back because you are the best person to share your insights, resources, and practical advice on this important issue. So once again, welcome back.
Nice to be back with you, Nada.
Okay, so for many listeners who may know that boys are diagnosed with ADHD more than girls, maybe let's talk about what are some unique challenges that quiet, non-disruptive girls face when being diagnosed with ADHD?
Well, first, before I forget, I want to explain that there are girls, we're more commonly having the inattentive type of ADHD,
Yes.
which means we're more dreamy, flaky, maybe low energy, maybe shy. We could look the opposite of hyperactive combined type. But there are girls too that have combined types. So I don't want the audience to just think all girls are inattentive. But
Yes.
there are girls with combined type. The thing is that even girls with combined type feel so much society pressure to act a certain way that they really suppress their high energy. I talked to one woman, it really struck me how she was biting the inside of her cheek to remind herself to stay in her seat. So there's a lot of pressure to be the quiet, non-disruptive girl and to mask your behavior so that you fit that stereotype. The thing is with the girls that have ADHD, more particularly the inattentive type, because they're not disruptive in the classroom, they're less likely to get pulled out as identified as having ADHD. As I said, it's almost like two types of ADHD. The one
Yes.
that's really outgoing and energetic, and then almost the reverse side of the person who's shy, introverted, quiet, dreamy, might like to be by themselves a lot, not that social. So in the classroom, these kind of girls aren't causing the teacher a problem. In fact, they often could be the teacher's pet because they're so eager to please. But the problem is that the way they're inattentive is showing up is very subtle. And it's not one single clue, it's a lot of clues. So the person has to be kind of like a detective and be putting these clues together. Is she often looking out the window? When I call on her, is she often not knowing what I called on her about? Does she do her schoolwork and forget to do the back side or not put her name on her piece of paper? Is she losing her homework and not bringing it back to school? Is she
Mm,
talking to her neighbors to find out what page we should be on? So all these behaviors are just small symptoms or small signals that there might be something deeper going on with this girl. Now, to really get a full picture, I would really recommend people go to our website and complete the questionnaire. It's been particularly developed for girls with ADHD
mm,
age 7,
mm-hmm,
7-year-old girls. We've talked with physicians, psychologists, use the DIVA, the DSM to create this checklist, and it goes over the kind of behaviors that you'll commonly see in girls with ADHD.
mm-hmm. And we can say the website now and also remind the listeners afterwards at the very end if they want to connect with you. But I want to continue with the next question. So you mentioned some of these signs and then taking a questionnaire, but what are other first steps that teachers or parents can take and that you recommend in this case if they suspect a girl is struggling and showing the signs of ADHD?
Well, there's a balance between rushing to judgment and
Mm,
waiting too long. So I
mm,
guess it depends how long the teacher or parent has been suspecting and what they've been doing in the meantime. I think at the first point when you suspect is maybe to start doing all the things at home that would be helping the things at home or the things in the classroom that helps a child that has ADHD. So putting up schedules, having things that she can refer to, remind herself what she's supposed to be doing, having routine in the home, having regular meals, good exercise, good sleep, all the things that we know help girls with ADHD. If a parent or a teacher puts those in place, and they that to see the girl is still struggling, then that's when they might want to really consider we've done all we can to help her, but it's not enough. So this
mm,
is when we need to take her for an evaluation to see if it's really ADHD and whether at that point even to consider medication because you've already done everything you can to help her and it's not enough.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
I ask parents to if they use the checklist, they could be monitoring the behavior. So they go to the doctor with a lot of data. They don't go and just say, I'm worried about her, but they go and say, at nighttime, I have to remind her 8 times before she finally gets her pajamas on and gets to bed. When I sit and do homework with her, she does it really well, but the next day she's totally forgotten what we went over. So the better data they have, the more information they have for the doctor, the easier the evaluation will be.
yeah, yeah. So, and I to continue that conversation, and you mentioned the website previously and the checklist. So I want to talk about it. Your website is findtheadhdgirls.org, and it has a repository. And I just wanted to ask you what inspired you to create this repository in the first place, and how does it build on your previous work with in the field of inattentive ADHD?
Well, the repository, we decided that the best way we're going to educate more people about ADHD in young girls is to make the information professionally written and professionally designed and give it away for free.
Mm,
So parents can get very good information that talks about in in so many ways. You can access information about how to help your 7-year-old or young daughter
mm,
with ADHD. And we've also prepared the handout so that professionals could use
mm,
these as handouts to give to their patients. The professionals could add their own contact information. We allow for that. And
Mm.
they can distribute this information. So they're not having to build their own library of what we give parents. They can use our material and we make it available for free.
Oh, that's so fantastic. So, can you walk us through how professionals, educators, and parents that find information on your website, how how they can use it, and how is it designed to be useful for each of these groups? Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, our website, there's there's several parts to our website. We have the
Mm-hmm.
checklist, which I think is helpful for parents and even for professionals or educators to know what kinds of behaviors to be looking for in a young girl with that you think might have ADHD. But then we also have a blog, so we have long articles that parents could read on our website. And we
Mm-hmm.
also have a resource section where we're telling them about other videos, other books, not the ones that we've produced, but ones that are out in the community that are well respected and could help them with different aspects of raising their child with ADHD. And then the repository is where we have the material that we produced. And
Mm.
that's what the repository, and we've categorized it so depending on the area that you're interested in, you can go to that section and find the articles, the handouts, the carousels, the infographics. We even will have a slideshow that parents, professionals can access to get educated on the area that they're particularly interested in. Um, we we don't have as much yet for educators, except the usual ideas that we know about
Mm-hmm.
sitting the child up front, breaking tasks into small amounts, having movement breaks, giving time for transitions, having the teacher have a signal for the girl to tell her when she's off track. Small things that are I think are pretty commonly known by educators as to
Mm-hmm.
how to help children with ADHD. And that's the level of information we have at our website. But if they wanted an understanding of what ADHD is like and how it impacts the girl, we have lots of information about that. And now we've written a book called Letters to Our Young Self. It's 22 adult women who were diagnosed late in life, and they are writing about how that impacted their lives to go undiagnosed. And we feel like parents and professionals and educators will really benefit if they read this book because
Mm-hmm.
too often we're finding people think ADHD is not a serious disability. They think a child depressed, oh yeah, that's difficult and we need to focus on that. But a child that you say has ADHD is like, oh, they're doing well in school. We don't have to do anything about it now. And
Mm-hmm.
these letters will tell you the broad impacts that going undiagnosed had on these women's lives. So it's really a call to parents and educators and professionals to realize ADHD undiagnosed is a significant issue.
Mm. Can you give us? I definitely had a question for you regarding the books and the thank you for the book. Thank you for mentioning it. And just if you wouldn't mind giving us a little sneak peek from some of
Yeah.
the stories, I think that would intrigue people and make them want to read it actually. So, yeah, do you have some interesting stories?
Uh,
Just little sneak peeks to share with us.
Well, let me tell you first that during the month of October, and I don't
Yes.
know if this is people are listening, if you go to our website, findtheadhdgirls.org, and register for the repository, so that's a good thing. You'll get those resources, but automatically you will get access to the free audio, the free book, and it's
Mm-hmm.
available as a a downloadable PDF, or you could watch it on a
Mm.
it's a digital book, or it's an audio book. It's available in three formats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to tell you, my letter is in the book, and
Mm.
21 other women's letters are in the book. I could not get myself to read their letters. I know it's sad to read the letters,
Oh.
and I didn't. I can tell you from women I've talked with that some of them, I know that not knowing about their ADHD is more of a problem than having ADHD. Having
Mm-hmm.
ADHD isn't a big problem if you know about it. But if you don't know about it, it is a huge problem. And some of these women would have limited their aspirations in life. A woman told me that she wanted to be a doctor, but without knowing about her ADHD, she just felt she couldn't, and she became a veterinarian instead. So lowering their aspirations because they don't understand how their brain works.
Mm.
There other women have spent years going to therapy because they knew something was wrong or something was different about them. I don't like to use the word wrong, but
Yes.
they didn't understand why they could be so bright and still have so many problems in their life. They couldn't understand themselves. So they were going to therapy to understand themselves. And
Mm.
unfortunately, they went to therapists who didn't recognize their ADHD. So for years, they were told they just had anxiety, or they were told they just had depression. And so that lack of understanding themselves is a huge piece of how they
Yes.
suffered in their lives. Um, I think those are the
That's
main
more than
things
enough.
to say.
Yes, and I think it will definitely resonate with our community and in particular women listening to this. I'm sure people will find
Well,
themselves
so
women.
the other thing wanted to bring up, I'm sorry, that some women said that their brother got diagnosed, but
Uh-huh.
no one ever considered that they had it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
there's such a misunderstanding on how it can present in these two different ways.
I think, and thank you for sharing that. And I think this is an excellent intro to my next question that I have for you. And that's how do you hope the resources that you're sharing will impact the broader conversation around ADHD that we have nowadays? And do you hope it could help diagnosis and support the girls on their journey to discovery?
Well, that's totally what motivates me.
Yes.
We have a program called Committed Partners. So I invite other women or even men who care about this, who really think we
Yeah.
need to move forward. We need to move the conversation. So you don't say, I was late diagnosed because you were diagnosed at 50. You're late diagnosed if you're diagnosed at 9. We don't want to say, an early diagnosis is when you're in high school. An early diagnosis is before age 8, and that's what we want.
All right. All right.
So I want to tell about the 25. We have committed partners. They're women who say, every quarter, I'm going to do something significant that will reach more people to educate them about
Yes.
ADHD in young girls.
Yes.
So our goal is to grow our committed partners to at least 100. So we
Mm.
know that there are 100 women who each quarter are doing something to, and they can use our materials or whatever, but we have meetings for committed partners where we strategize what we're going to do. And right now we have 30 committed partners.
Excellent. Excellent. And well done, Cynthia. And before we say to people how they can connect with you if they want to partner with you, I would definitely like to just touch on the role of mental health professionals and school, what the role they can play in preventing these girls falling through the cracks, and how, at the end of the day, how does your resource can help them in that action?
Well, I think if professionals and schools just learned
Mm,
that a child with ADHD can be getting very good grades in school
mm-hmm,
and still have ADHD. So they
mm,
need to look beyond that surface level and be asking, how does her life go when she gets home from school? How is she with her friends? How generally is her life going?
yeah.
So it's not just she's getting good grades in school. So
Yeah.
I think if we get that message across that they need to look deeper, they need to understand that not diagnosing is a significant issue.
Yes.
Those two things, if they could be motivated to
Mm,
say we need to find these girls,
mm,
then that's what we're after.
yes. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Cynthia. So you mentioned the website, you mentioned the book, and if people do want to connect with you, how they can do that? I know you're on LinkedIn, but any other channels that you're present, please do let us know and share with us.
Well, Find the ADHD Girls is on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook, it's on
Mm,
Instagram.
excellent. Mm,
People following us or sharing our content, they are actually helping us too, because the more people share our content,
mm,
the more the algorithm shows it to more
exactly.
people.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to grow our audience and get our audience to help us grow our audience more.
And it's for a good cause. So hopefully we are also helping you spread the message. It's very important. Any
Yes.
last words before we go? Is if there is one thing that you would like our listeners to take away from everything we talked about, what it would be?
Hmm. I what I go back to is years ago when I got diagnosed, I had been taking my son to the meetings with the pediatrician for over a year,
Mm,
15-minute med evaluations. I had been going there for over a year. And during my evaluation at work, my supervisor had a grandson with ADHD. So things she brought up about how I was behaving at work, I said to her, I think I have ADHD. And she said, I think you do too. And
mm,
so when I went back to the pediatrician, the one I'd been seeing, not for myself, but for my son, I said to him, Dr. Smith, I think I have ADHD. And he replied, you do. Now, I was I had other emotions when I got told that, but years
mm.
later, it made me angry, that he had noticed that, but he never told me. So
Oh,
I
okay.
guess my message is for anyone. If you start to worry or start to perceive that a girl you think might have ADHD, bring it up.
Mm,
Suggest it to the parents. Suggest it to, yeah, just suggest it to the parents. I mean, that's how it has to start sometimes, is that we notice and we bring it up.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then it's, I suppose, up to them what they're going to do next. But it does make a difference in a life of a girl when they know and then they can manage. And I think, yeah, going
Yeah,
back to these 22 letters, I think that's the story behind. We would rather know what's going on than not being aware and have the life not ruined, but not living up to expectations or aspirations because of the ignorance. Correct?
yes. If you want to achieve what you can achieve because of your abilities, you need to know about your ADHD.
Yes. Mm, mm, exactly. So thank you so much, Cynthia. Loved talking to you again. Thanks for sharing these precious resources. And I just hope that we are just one stepping stone in helping you spread the word about
Yes,
this
you are.
important, yes, about this important topic. So, yeah, delighted to have you back. And yeah, let's keep in touch. Let's keep collaborating. Let's keep breaking the stigma. So that's all we can do. So thank you again so much.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that your organization is starting to focus on children.
We sure are. We sure are. Yes, we are working on building child and adolescent psychiatric services. We do offer services for children and adolescents, but I suppose we will bring that up on the next level, and everything will be adjusted to kids and adolescents, with more providers being brought on board to serve kids specifically, and then some excellent providers with ideas for the program to meet kids where they are, teaming up most likely with the schools, to with counselors and nurses, etc. So, but we will keep people updated, but these are the plans for the actually near future. So yeah, we are very happy to get on board with this and start giving back more to the kids and our young community. So yeah, that's something that will happen soon. Again, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to have you back on the podcast to talk more about inattentive ADHD and helping girls with ADHD. Thanks.
Great, great. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Thriving with ADHD. This show is produced by Animo Sano Psychiatry. Please follow, rate, or share our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming app of your choice. Music is by Daddy's Music from Pixabay. For more information about Animo Sano Psychiatry, please visit animosanopsychiatry.com.